So welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to game number 2 between BelleStack S2 versus Cringe for the Clarity League Division 1 lower bracket finals. And as we saw, BelleStack, even though it's not updated, they are one game ahead now in this best of 3, so it's real down to the wire here for Cringe. They've got to bring something out of the bag, some way to actually turn the tides in these fights. But it looks like exactly the same opening bans have been done. Cringe removing the Lena as well as the Spirit Breaker. But Bane is still going to be the first pick up there for BelleStack. Going to put that into the hands of Ashteezy yet again.
Seconds remain.
Apparently they had a drafting issue. Okay. Fair enough. Well, let's see if they don't make the same mistake this time round.
Disruptor.
They're going to go for the Disruptor as their opener this time. I mean, it's always quite nice, actually, to have a Disruptor versus a Bane. You've got two relatively decent ways of cancelling out a Fiend's Grip. Like, the super long-range Glimpse can get rid of it, or if you need to, you could drop the Static Storm at the same time. So that does work out. Also, the second pick of the Weaver. I mean, most of the time now, you do see the Weaver as a support. Which would make sense, you know, put this Weaver as the 4 and the Disruptor be the 5. And then eventually the Weaver would be able to build into the Aghanim Scepter, which is then just another save mechanic to whoever gets hit by the Fiend's Grip. As well as also just being a very strong laner. Like, the amount of damage the Weaver was able to pump out is really ridiculous sometimes. I mean, it does get sort of balanced out the fact that he is squishy. Even for a bug, he is squishy. So it does have to be a little bit careful he doesn't overextend. I mean, every hero does have a weakness. We'll see what the second pick's going to be here for BelleStack, though. Giving it a lot of thought, and their choice going in for that Void Spirit yet again. So that's going to be into the hands of Chryson once more for the off lane. So far, just rinse repeating exactly the same draft. We'll see if Cringe are now going to do any bans. Maybe they might remove the Invoker. Pompo was a pain in the arse on that. I think if you remove the Invoker, you're not that bothered about seeing a Faceless Void. So I think they might just, ban the Invoker, leave the Void in. Don't have to worry too much about that making a reappearance. I'm going to decide to take out the Mars yet again. I mean, before they banned Mars, Juggernaut, and who was their third ban? Can't remember who the third ban was. They removed the Jug yet again. Meanwhile, BelleStack, exactly same bans once more. The Necrophos as well as the Lifestealer getting taken. I think they banned the... No, it wasn't Doozer. It was banned the Doozer.
10 seconds remain.
Can't remember who it was.
5 seconds remain.
But I don't know if they were really that afraid in that last game of any of the heroes that they saw. So they might just rinse, repeat exactly the same bans he's done in the previous match. Okay, they're actually going to take out the Rubik. Which is fair enough. I mean, Rubik can be quite a pain in the arse, especially versus a Bane. You're pretty much guaranteed to steal Fiend's Grip, which is just a ridiculous spell to steal. But I mean, I don't know if it's really was going to be a Rubik game, seeing as how they got this pairing. I mean, unless Cringe wanted to put the Weaver as a core, but I don't know. I just don't like Weaver as a core anymore. Like, it just feels so blah. Like, unless you have an absolute stonking lane, you crush, you get loads of farm, and you just make everyone else's life a real misery. It does feel quite lackluster, so I think it's pretty much guaranteed to be a support. I say guaranteed. I'm going to say 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 chance. 9 out of 10 times. But I think this is their support duo. But even still, third pick to come out here from Cringe, and it's going to be a Bristleback pickup. Okay. So, is this going to be the off-lane Bristleback? Possibly position 1. I know that was a thing for a bit of time. But I think I definitely don't think it's meta anymore to see a pulse line Bristle.
Seconds remain.
But even still, the Bristle in the off lane up against the Bane and whatever the hell carry that BelleStack end up going for. It's always nice to have that big tanky front line that just runs into people, spamming those quills. Try and make a bit of space for your back line as best as you can. But I mean, that's always going to be difficult against the Void Spirit because he can always just fly straight past you. There's not really any way that a Bristleback can keep someone in place. Sure, if you get like 4 or 5 sticky goos on top of someone, they have like no movement speed, then that can obviously do a good job. But versus a Void, he's got a double astral step plus a dissimulate, so not really able to lock him down that well.
Radiant's turn to pick.
Clockwork.
The Clockwork once again being a pick up here for BelleStack. So far, this is looking like exactly the same team. Obviously, it does have to be a little bit this time round. Seems like there's no Faceless Void. But BelleStack could very well go in for the Invoker once more.
5 seconds.
Unless they want to maybe push the Void into the mid lane now. They've not actually seen what the enemy mid lane matchup is going to be at this stage in the game. Maybe they're giving that some thought now. Whether they do want to make this Void into the mid lane player or not. Really thinking about it.
Dyer's turn.
18 seconds of reserve time left at the end of the day, but they're actually going to go for the Wraith King themselves this time round, so take a little page there out of Cringe's book from the previous game. We'll see if he actually ends up having a bit better time, because in that first matchup, we saw the Wraith King definitely struggled in the lane phase, wasn't doing too hot on the CS, and was getting a lot of pressure applied to him, which then just caused that big sort of net worth rift between himself and the Faceless Void, so we'll see if maybe Dusk is going to have a little bit of a better time. I mean, so far, he knows he's going to be playing up against a Bristleback and probably the Weaver. So maybe this could be a cause for Cringe to go for the Invoker themselves to get that EMP burn. They're actually go for the Underlord. Okay, so is this going to be off-lane Underlords with position 1 Bristle or mid Underlords position 3 Bristle?
10 seconds remain.
I just don't know. An interesting pickup for
5
sure.
seconds.
I think it's probably going to be an off-lane Underlord, right? And they might push the Bristle back into the mid lane.
Dyer's ban.
Not sure. But BelleStack, thinking that it is definitely just the position 1 left to go for, so they're removing the Drow Ranger. I mean, it makes sense. Obviously, you've got these 2 huge chunky heroes that sit right in front of the Drow and make a big wall to secure her pumping out a lot of damage. Maybe if they're thinking in that regard, it could be worth actually taking out the Sniper. But then, I mean, playing the Sniper versus Void Spirit, Clockwork, and Wraith King could just be asking for trouble. Like, one bad initiation, and that man will die. He will die very, very quickly. But, I mean, eventually, though, they would actually have the save of the Axe Weaver, which could bail the Sniper out of that situation, but obviously you've got to wait for your support to farm up an Ags, which can take a bit of time.
5 seconds remain. Dyer's turn to ban.
And decided to actually remove the Naga Siren.
Radiant's turn to
Always a hero that can play quite effectively versus the Wraith King, despite how Wraith King does sometimes like to build into a Radiance. But just the Diffusal Blade on a Naga can just really shred Wraith King super hard.
turn to pick. Earth Spirit.
And Earth Spirit's actually the final pickup here. So I'm going to guess that's going to be for Mikkel as the position 4 Earth Spirit. I mean, it could very well be Chryson.
Remain.
He is actually the position 3, likes to play with the Earth Spirit. So yeah, I think, yeah, Earth Spirit position 3, Void in the mid lane, carry Wraith King, 4 Clock, and position 5 Bane. So that is going to be their lanes. So what is going to be the carry pickup here from Cringe then? Or is it going to be a mid lane and they're going to make a position 1 Bristle? So I think Pulse 1 Bristle versus Earth Spirit Clockwork is actually fine. I don't think he would mind that matchup whatsoever. Okay, no, they are going to keep it as a off-lane Bristle then. Going to go with the Slark as their main carry. Nope, wait, Linkbank's taking the Slark. He was playing the Pulse 3 last game. Okay, I think this is a big swap round. Cats is going back onto the Pulse 3. Linkbank on the position 1. Reese on the 4 Weaver. Snufkin on the 5 Disruptor. And Average back into the mid lane with the Bristle back here. So Bristle versus Void Spirit. I don't think... I mean, maybe there could be a first... Well, not first, but a kill being found for the Bristle onto the Void Spirit if Pompo misplays a little bit. Allows him to get a few too many spines on him. Spine stacks. And it doesn't have the room to use a Dissimulate to escape easily. Could be awkward.
It feels good to be this good.
Yeah, they did nerf the cast range quite a lot on the Axe-Weaver. I still think it's just standard for a support Weaver. I know sometimes you can go for like Spirit Vessel into like Orchid, something like that, if you want to just try and make space in the fights if it's not necessary to get for the Ags. But sometimes the matchup is just really terrible and it just requires the item. Especially if there's like some ridiculous bit of initiation potential from the other squad to burst people down. Always worthwhile. But even still, welcome back. Game number 2 between Cringe and BelleStack for the Clarity League lower bracket finals. And immediately another pause yet again. This series has just been a game of pauses. A lot of time. FPS problems. Solved quickly. Already ready to go. Very standard. It was position 3 on the Earth Spirit. Yes, Chrysler on the Pulse 3 Earth Spirit. What is this? Random bants. He's only 6'3". Oh, that's sad. Looks like another game where the Wraith King Arcana needs to kill everybody. I see that very often.
Now the fight resumes.
Anyway,
But will it follow the
who
same
am I going to be slightly favouring for this game? I mean, if BelleStack was able to play the way they did in that game number 1, you're just going to naturally be leaning towards them to take this series. But I mean, the lineup coming out here from Cringe, it's not really super cooldown dependent. The biggest one they actually have is just the Static Storm there from Snufkin, which most of the time isn't really essential to get a lot of pickoffs. Obviously, when you're trying to go for the big kills onto like the Void Spirit or something like that, it is essential to have it online.
What drum sounds this beat of war?
Yeah, I think I'm just leaning a little bit more towards BelleStack. A lot of reach. But it looks like might potentially get a first blood here. BelleStack all gathered around, want to try and fight for this bounty rune. But it looks like at the same time, Cringe want to do it as well. Sergeant Average in the midst of everyone, just has to go in full retreat mode. With the barrier still on top, but they're not going to stick onto him that well. It just ends up being a big trade of damage and tangos. That's all it comes down to. Quite deep ward gets placed from Cringe as well. When you see that ward, you're just going to be guaranteeing going for those courier snipes, which always works out when you've got a Weaver as your support. The Scoochie able to get on top of that courier lickety split. It's always horrible as well if you get that kill just before the item gets delivered. It's just real insult to injury. And another pause. Another pause. And Lickback's actually DC this time. Okay. Priced in a 6.5 and built like a brick shithouse. Fair.
I do not thank.
Praise the moon of Maine.
我不理解。
What?
Praise the moon of Maine.
Damn it. Lacoste always got the creepy voice lines. Jesus Christ. Who won game one? BelleStack. Dusk's team. Took it. I mean, someone's probably going to tell you that in the 2 minutes delay that I have on stream, so... Well, if no one tells you, you'll find out then. I mean, I could type it, but I'm too lazy for that. No, I'll type it. I'll be fair. Damn it, I got typed in before I did it. Dazza! You stole my chance to tell who won the game. I think this lane should go quite nicely, actually, though, for Cringe. Like, leg bank on the slot. Should be able to just disengage when Kryson and Mikkel got on top of him pretty easily. Just able to leap over the top of the cogs if you get trapped in an awkward position. And just the general right-click trade with the Essence shift. Always going to be pretty nasty. I think he should be fine up here. He should be able to secure a decent amount of CS. Meanwhile, at the bot lane for Dusk, up against Cat on the Underlord versus the Weaver as well. Might make it a bit more difficult, especially once he gets a couple of points into the old Firestorm, and then just staying by the creep wave is going to be really goddamn painful. Trading right clicks against Ashteezy on the Bane, always going to be awkward, yeah. There's the Brain Sap. It's a very difficult job to do. But in this mid, we'll see how Sergeant Average is going to do in this mid versus Pompo on the Void Spirit. I mean, so far, he's definitely lacking in CS. But he's still got a couple to actually come at him. He should be able to equalise this score a little bit. 6-3 to Pompo already. They have to just leave for the Void for now. 7-3 to the 5-0. And again, it's like standard stuff. Position level 3 is the sort of time when the power sight gets a bit better. So now there's 2 points into Quill. Might make it a bit more awkward for Pompo to try and stay as stand his ground in this lane. You're sorry? You should be sorry, Dazza. You should be sorry. I kid, of course. Don't worry about it. Down bot. Ashteezy. Just take a little bit of beating. But no real stun as of yet to actually try and net those kills. I mean, maybe Cat could put a point into Pit of Malice. But then you're never really going to see this skill get leveled up before 4. I mean, 4 is probably the average time it gets picked up. You get 2 points into Firestorm and then 1-1 in the other 2. Or it could be a bit more greedy and just go more points into the Atrophy Aura. Just try and go for mass right-click damage. He does actually get forced away, so the range creep going to be able to get denied here from Mikkel. It's a small little detail, but every bit of experience you can just snatch away from the enemy is always going to be helpful, especially if it is the range creep.
Where did I go?
Oh, down bot, Ashteezy taking a lot of damage yet again, but he's able to get to the safety of his tier 1. Only has 1 salve to his name. And he's going to be the selfless support and give it over to his carry. You know, if Dusk was a real nice person, he would have given Ashteezy a tango and been like, okay, yeah, you're giving me a salve, have a tango, you know, that's fair. But greedy man. Classic carries, eh? All they care about themselves. Never give any consideration to the poor old position 5s. It's a sad life. Looks like Sergeant Average actually went and stole the bounty rune there of Pompo to fill up his bottle. And it does also just give a little bit of space for Pompo to secure a bit of extra CS, but yeah, now there's a few more levels being funneled into this Bristle. He's starting to do quite nicely the CS front, and Pompo is actually just going to go and steal the Dire Bounty Rune in return, so it does end up being a completely even trade. Average? Okay, I thought he was going to try and chase after the courier there, but just wanted to screw up the Observer Ward instead. So everyone relatively even on CS. The only person who's actually lacking behind so far is Kryson on the Earth Spirit. I suppose it's the harassment coming out from Snufkin and the right clicks from Ligbank is very annoying to deal with. Just like, even just the cogs of the barrier assault, Snufkin wasn't really taking any damage at all. Was just stood there, right clicking away. Reese, fuck off. That's getting very angry here. He's just keeping his courier at bay. Dusk wants his item to actually help him out in this lane a bit more, but Reese is not letting him do it. I think he's actually just still under observer vision. Is it? Oh no, the courier's actually just out of sight there. So Reese not sure just how close it is. Meanwhile though, Snuff getting out top, he will get ran down. This probably will be a kill. Actually, the cogs gonna actually make a bit of space. Maybe they can turn this around. Ligbank with the dart pack does a bit of damage. It's still Snufkin will just die. Ligbank has to run away. But in the meantime, Pompo in the mid actually manages to get the first blood there onto the Bristle. Very nicely done.
I'm sensing a pattern here.
Reese does get held back with the Nightmare. So now that ward's actually gone, there could be the opportunity for the couriers to actually get delivered out. But actually does get dive underneath the tier 1 here. The damage just coming out so much. The right clicks from the Underlord with the minus armor. He's going to be able to survive with a sliver of HP. Actually, TP coming in from Pompo as well. The Sal's going to be there to make Dust nice and healthy yet again. And there's no sort of way to cancel out. Pompo tried jumping onto the Underlord, but not going to be able to get close enough. Now, he does get the Ether Element connection, which will secure the kill onto the Weaver. So nicely placed. Meanwhile, at the top, Kryson manages to find another kill onto Snufkin. That's him going to be gone with his TP on cooldown, so it's going to be a very long time before he's going to be able to return to this lane. Even Ligbank had to TP back to base, so they're both going to have to make the walk of shame all the way back to this top lane. Going to be a bit of extra free farm for Kryson now. So already, it's game number 2, off to a fantastic start here for BelleStack.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
This tier 1 also taking a hell of a lot of damage. The Sergeant Average was just tanking up a few of the shots of the tower there just to get a couple of extra catapult hits in. Might actually be able to take this tower down at a pretty decent time. His own barely been touched at all.
It fills me with nothingness.
Ligbank's not doing too badly at the top. Has had to suffer in CS a little bit after the aggression that has come out from Kryson as well as Mikkel. Getting a couple of kills onto his spot definitely makes things awkward for him. And it does reflect. Actually dropped down to second and lowest of all the cores for now. But I mean, he's nearly hit 6. Once the Slark hits his 6, that's generally the time where Snufkin can just go do his own thing, help out the rest of the lanes. As the Slark will definitely be able to just be abandoned effectively. Ash Teasy though, he's just dead down here for sure. The right clicks with the minus armor is just too goddamn dangerous. Actually, Peter manages as well with the Firestorm. They're trying to make a potential go here onto Dusk. But still just not quite enough to try and dive him underneath the tier 1. Is enough pressure though to just force him all the way back to base with his own TP. They should be able to actually, with this big amount of space, probably do a significant amount of damage to the tier 1. I mean, as a result of Pompo's tower being so low, he just doesn't really feel safe leaving this lane whatsoever to go, like, maybe help out a side lane or farm the jungles. Has to just make sure he's always in the vicinity.
Tower is under attack.
Otherwise, for sure, Sergeant Average will just take down this tower really quick.
Radiant's bottom tower is in danger.
Doesn't feel comfortable just diving the tower himself and finishing off. But in the meantime, Reese and Cat able to finish off the tier 1. So now, there's a little bit less safety in the Radiant Junker with that objective removed. Reese is pushing aggressively. He's actually underneath the observer ward there. So he realised he was in the area. He's still not really that concerned. As long as they keep tabs on this Wraith King. That's all Reese really needs to be doing. But already, Hooded Defiance gets delivered there for Cat, so even safer now to sit in this lane, do whatever the hell he wants. Especially 2 levels over the top of the Wraith King.
I'll take that.
Makes it a very, very dangerous place to be. Maybe in the mid. Pompo's got to be careful here. Few heroes around him. He does actually have Mikhail to the side. Gives him a little bit of extra safety.
I'm sensing a pattern.
But Cat's
here.
also going to link him. They want to try and take down this tier 1 if they can. They're just playing super careful. Pompo and Mikhail, they know that something's going on. They do actually have the observer that's got placed in this high ground. So realizing that Reese and Cat in the vicinity, oh, maybe they can get this quick grab here onto Reese. Yes, they can. Takes him out. The Firestorm does a bit of damage to them both, but even still, they got the pick off that they wanted. No level 6 available for the Weaver just yet to try and survive that. Christ actually TP'ing in himself. Going to start things off on Cat here. It's going to be the Hood that delays this out for a bit, but I think it's just a matter of time before Cat falls down. There's 4 heroes relentlessly pursuing him. No chance to escape. Not a big blumber enough like that anyway. Pompo even going to be able to secure up the Arcane Rune.
Radiant's
I
middle tower is
restore
denied.
my connection.
Tower does actually get denied at least. So nice little counter moves coming out there from BelleStack to push them away from their tower. Actually, why have they only got 1 kill? What? How did they kill the Weaver? Oh no, I'm looking at the wrong team. I only saw 1 kill there, but they killed the Weaver and the Underlord. But of course, that's on the wrong team. Silly me. Laying back actually now moving himself down towards the bot. Gonna try and farm up with the safety of the fact that this tier 1 tower has gone. I was going to be a little bit cautious still. Got 3 heroes. The stun lean up there with Dust and all the follow-up damage. There's no way Linkbank can tank that. And the double tip as well. Triple. Insult to injury. Cat now trying to work onto the tier 1 at the top. Average actually even coming in himself. I think they should be able to just secure this tier 1 tower here.
You thought
Cats
you
probably
had
could
me
just tank it
there.
up. Keep the catapult alive, and yeah, this tower's going to fall. Unless there's going to be some surprise defense attempt coming out from BelleStack, but I highly doubt it.
Is under attack.
It's not really essential to keep this objective alive.
Their structures against attack. Radiant should look to the
Kryson is in the area. I'll have to be a little bit careful. Although with his Vader Discord, he's going to ramp up a bit of damage. Even the TP coming in from the dust, but he does get glimpsed immediately back down to the bot lane. So there's still going to be a slight advantage numbers here. Coming out for Cringe. Just the damage coming up from Sergeant Average in the depths of everybody, as well as the Static Storm holding 2 people in place. Can they just get the follow-up damage? There's still an Astral Step available for Pompo. So their Void will survive. But even still, they killed the tower. They take down the Earth Spirit. Maybe Ash Teasy as well. I don't think they really have any way of catching him, though. Only really the Weaver that can stay on top. It's not enough damage at this stage in the game to try and get that kill. But even still, all tier 1 towers off the map at 12 minutes in from Cringe. Really well, nicely done. While all of their tier 1s are still pretty damn healthy. Barely even touched whatsoever. So definitely a map control advantage here. See what Cringe is going to be able to do with it. A little bit of harassment there onto Pompo. He's actually nearly got a S&K online. Is that the way you say that? S&K? Is it K and S? Or do people always say Sanj and Kaya? Well, I know a lot of people just normally say like S and Y or something for Sanj and Yasha, but that's because that item's been around for years. Although Kaya and Sanj is relatively new. So do people actually say K and S?
Double damage.
I don't know. I'm going to start saying it. Start coining the phrase. That's how it works. Sergeant Average firing at these stacks. There is actually 3 members of BelleStack in the area. They're going to lead things off the free screen, but there's that long-range glimpse. Immediately gets the cancel. Also gets the glimpse onto the stack storm collection there onto Pompo. Holds him back for now. But I think he's still going to end up finding their kill, especially seeing how Dust gets involved. Meanwhile, it looks like Ash Cheesy probably going to end up dropping down with that final right click. Pompo maybe in the spot. Oh, a nice hook from Mikkel. He signs his life away, but that should actually keep his mid laner alive. A worthy sacrifice. Pompo, yep, just barely can make up to the high ground. Actually, Reese still charged in. Maybe the turnaround kill. Pompo actually finds him with the dissimulate, overstepping his boundary. Big Man was trying to hit onto Dusk, but even still, not enough damage to actually find it. So does just end up being a 2 for 2 trade of supports. Pretty much a directly equal trade. A Fiend script got used as well as Hookshot, but on the flip side, so did Static Storm. So it was just a complete skirmish for nothing. Or maybe actually, who got the kills? Dust got 1, Average got 1, Cats got 1, Pompo got 1. So I think actually it does favour BelleStack, seeing as how their carry and their mid got the kills. But a very minor difference. Oh, up top. Dust getting gone on now. We'll come back into this. It looks like the rest of BelleStack want to get involved and roll straight in there from Price and focusing immediately onto Snufkin. There's just going to be the glimpse to make a bit of space, but Dust's still pretty damn healthy, standing his ground. He has got a few cruel stacks onto him, and now that damage is really starting to get ramped up, there's no way Dust can survive that one. And now, there's going to be the Dark Rift here from Cats. Is he going to be able to survive? But he's getting super damn low. The overall actually ends up missing, but still, the Brain Sap is there. They get the kill. And maybe that could actually end up spelling doom for the few members of BelleStack. The Sergeant Average able to just keep on charging forwards. Now actually Pompo gets involved. They pick off Reese. It's a 1 versus 4, but even still, it is a Bristlebat. The man is just too goddamn tanky. And they have to pay respect and back on out. It's full HP, full mana. No way they can touch him anymore. But even still, it's a 3 for 1. Another slight advantage there for BelleStack. SNK is an anime? Is it? What K and S? It's Kaya and Sanch. It's the other way around. Is there an anime called K and S? Who knows? The Fiend script onto Sergeant Average. Gonna plow into his front. Oh, actually, the cogs. It maybe turned him around. He might be able to survive this. No, he's dead. Look, Lickback. Jesus Christ, he's in deep. The rest of the team is coming out in to try and help out. They're going to focus on Price, who's getting pretty low. There is going to be the Static Storm. It glimpses them back as well. Maybe they can find the kill to Price. They do get the finish. Nothing's going to end up dropping for this, though. Even Reese gets caught up. Just barely gets the time-lapse off. He might be able to survive this. Battery Soul's on top of him. And with the dust, there's nowhere this Weaver can escape to. Tries to juke his way back through. But once again, it's another 3 for 1 trade there. And this time, they do actually find that big kill of Sergeant Average. I'm sure it's not like a huge amount of gold you get for it, but taking the Bristol off the map is always worthwhile. I've got your bones. Ripperoonie. Despite the fact that Sergeant Average just died, he's straight back down to the mid. I mean, now that Fiend's grip's on cooldown, that is really the only way that they can find that kill. It just allows everybody to line up onto his front. Especially since how the entirety of Cringe was nowhere nearby to help out. But nearly a Lotus Orb online for Sergeant Average. Gonna give him a lot more survivability in these fights. Gives him perfect safety versus the Bane as well. Actual 4-man smoke coming out here from BelleStack. I'm going to move into the dire jungle, but little do they know, it's empty. It's a ghost forest. Everyone else on the side of Cringe has done pretty much the opposite move, just minus the smoke. And they're going to try and pressure out this tier 2 tower. Well, both teams do have a glyph. Who's actually going to push faster and manage to help defend? I think it should just be Cringe. Seems like they've already got a creep wave up by the tower. They actually... Why did they glyph? That was a really premature glyph. I think that might have been a misclick, actually. Because now that just forces them to disengage. To TP in from Pompo. So BelleStack want to defend it if Cringe decide to keep on the pressure. It looks like they are. Into the backline, so they found Ashteezy. The static storm, or the kinetic field, sorry, will just keep him at bay. There's going to be the glimpse actually pulling Pompo back. Maybe that could actually give him a bit of safety. The TP coming in from Bryson as well. Livback's going to be on top of him. Going to pop his ultimate. Just get a couple of extra whacks into the Earth Spirit here. Going to drop this ultimate with the silence. Turning around. Gets a follow-up stun. He's stuck in place. The Rod of Atos is going to be there as well as the static storm. Just to guarantee that Livback survives this situation. He even had the low storm on top of him from the from Sergeant Average. And that will just secure this tier 2 kill. Meanwhile, all that was going on, Dusk was actually just farming up a bit more in the jungle, trying to get his farm carried on, but it's not like he's really pulling that far ahead. Still just relatively equal to Ligbang. Just a clear tower map advantage coming out here from Cringe. I mean, these bloody skeletons doing so much work. Philly Stone, though, found from both teams.
There is little hope for Dire's middle tower.
Always a ridiculously good item for the old supports. This is actually like the first time we're starting to see some actual net worth advantage getting built up here. I mean, it's still only like just on the cusp of 2 to 3k. I would say it is definitely growing. Oh, they found another freebie here onto Ashteezy. Miles away from anyone. No chance of saving that one. Even Ligbanks is on top of Pompo there. Oh, glimpse backwards. Oh, he tried Astral Stepping. He ends up missing the first one, but the second one does actually get him out. But now he's out of charges. Got his Dissimulate up in a second's time. Can he actually use it to Gab? He wants to get down to low ground if he can. There's going to be the hook shot there from Mikhail to make him a space with Pompo. He doesn't actually end up getting over the cliff. He gets stuck. Still going to end up falling down. Mikhail's going to die for this as well. There was even a buyback there from Ashteezy, but it doesn't make any difference at all. They both still end up dying, and this could potentially be a Roshan attempt here from Cringe. Doesn't think they're going to try and commit for it, though. Instead, Breeze TP down to the top to try and find Kryson here, following the right clicks from the tower to give him the space. Oh, the vision there from the bugs. They get the glimpse of Kryson, though, rolls back into Snufkin. Maybe can actually get a counter kill here. So a lot of damn damage onto the two of them. It is obliterated the Disruptor. I don't think he can get the extra kill here onto the Weaver. Should be able to survive, though, if he can juke his way out of this correctly. Yeah, gets the roll off the side. The bug's going to miss. He should be able to get himself out.
I'm sensing a pattern here.
Meanwhile, Mikhail and Ashteezy was able to defend their tier 2. Kept it alive.
Who dares face me now?
And maybe Cringe sort of lost their opportunity to get a free quick Roche. Instead, they just split up. End up just giving away a free kill to Kryson. He'll gladly take that. What is he building into? Going for his own KNS. Going to be a lot of those items online here for BelleStack. Anyone else want to build one? Is it applicable for anyone else on this team? I don't think so.
I'll take that.
Still just a net worth leave, hovering about that 3k mark. And now Dusk actually managed to push himself at the top of net worth. And it looks like he's actually got finished Silver Edge as well. Just needs to get that recipe delivered out. And that'd be quite a nice big power spike. Help him try and set up some couple of kills, so whoever he does end up walking into. Meanwhile, the tier 2 in the mid will end up dropping down. Glyph up in 30 seconds, but even still, there was a defensive glyph to keep the tier 2 of this top lane safe. Oh, Reese. Charging forwards. It is going to get on top of the Dusk. And even Linkback actually goes through the cut-off there. It denies the escape here from Dusk, but there's no detection. Where's your detection? There isn't any. I think they weren't quite aware that he had Shadow Blade. I mean, they do at least kill his courier, so that denies the Silver Edge. Even still, I think that's going to be a cue for people to start buying some dust. You can't just rely on the 5 to do it all. And that would have been a very big pick-off if they could have found it. But it looks like maybe BelleStack want to go for some sort of counter move themselves. Moving us a 4 into their own jungle. Dusk charging forwards there with the Silver Edge. There's no detection. Creeps aren't going for it. Oh, but the MDs was just there in time from Ligbank. Still the roll back in. Who they're going to go for? They actually just get the silence immediately onto Reese, and he was not expecting that. So that's completely annihilated by everyone just waiting on the side. And actually, the free script also coming out, getting the lockdown onto Ligbank with the pullback, and he's threatening. It's too much lockdown. He ends up dying. The Stag Sword gets dropped to the backlines, trying to save Luskin's life, but it doesn't end up working whatsoever. This is a complete disaster for Cringe. Even they can deny the escape here for Cats. There is a Sergeant Average in the backlines trying to find some kills. Reese is getting juked out relentlessly. He can't actually stay on top of anyone long enough. And now it's just a 5 versus 1. Roll forwards there from Croyson misses. The Ether Remnant also misses. So Sergeant Average just gets out that whole situation full HP and mana. But BelleStack, they just don't give a shit. Like, they could just endlessly juke around the bristle, not really caring what happens. And now they're going to attempt to go for the Roche. It's not the quickest one in the world. Lickbank's up in 4 seconds. Maybe still there's no Stack Storm to use to try and take this fight if they wanted to. So this should just be a freebie here for BelleStack. And I guess they give the Aegis over to Pompo. Okay, it does get scouted out by the Bug Swarm. And they see the fact that it's not actually done very quickly. The TPs are coming in here. So they're going to try and defend it if they can. Mikkel wants to try and hold them back. This is going to be glimpsed defensively, but even still, they're not going to commit for it. The Roche will still fall. And speaking of people falling, Snufkin in the ground. Yeah, they did give over towards Pompo as well, who's very, very close to getting that Ags. What on earth is this game? This game is peak notes. Maybe it was just like Cringe have sort of lost their opportunity. I mean, I wouldn't say lost it. Like, they have still got a slight lead, but the momentum has definitely been taken away from them. And it's going to be very, very difficult to take some convincing fights to get themselves back into a winning state. I mean, Sergeant Average, he's big tanky. He's a real goddamn annoyance. He's hard to kill, but at the same time, it's just too easy for BelleStack to just disengage from him. Avoid him completely in the fights, deal with everybody else, then as soon as it's just the Bristleback all on his own, he's relatively easy to just to remove from the fight. I'm not sure what he could do to actually change that fact. Trying to build a K&S of his own. This will be the 3rd K&S in this map, in this game. I don't think I've ever seen so many of these items get built up in one game. Like, what is this? Absolute madness. Is anyone else building one? No. Okay. This will be the last one, I'm sure.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
So despite the fact that Cringe are playing into the Aegis on the Void Spirit, they're still just playing quite aggressively forward, all in the Radiant side of the map. He should scout out the fact that there's a ward there, right? Did he tell him? Yeah.
Dire scanning for enemies.
I like how everyone's carrying dust now. This is good. There's not going to be any way that
I'll take that.
the Wraith King could just slip away like he did before. I mean, actually, the only one who doesn't have one is Sergeant Average, so he is relying a bit on his team. He could swap out the bottle, but important bottle. This tier 1 tower might finally fall for the first time in 27 minutes. Actually, just Cats just gets picked off. He's trying to survive a little bit. Tanky gets all of his items off. He should be able to disengage this. No, he's not. He will still fall. Slufkin drops the Stag Storm defensively to try and save Reese, but that's not going to work either. Oh, there's another Fiend script. Oh, the long range glimpse does actually save his life. He's getting really low, but all of his mana was gone. He couldn't Shadow Blade. He couldn't leap. Couldn't do anything. Man was an easy pick-off. Croyson also rolled forwards. He's probably found this quick pick-up here onto Snufkin. Sergeant Average coming out of the trees. The big raid boss he is. Wants to try and save his support. But again, they're just ignoring him. focuses onto the Disruptor, quickly removes him out. As Reese comes back in, he dies immediately. He even bought back for that. Can't achieve anything. And this is a disaster. The game has just completely been taken out of Cringe's hands. Even going to be an offensive glyph there to keep the creep wave alive. And this will be their first high ground siege coming out here from BelleStack. And what can Cringe actually do to stop this from happening? Sergeant Average sat himself in the front. Gonna just carry on spamming up this Quills as best he can. Tanky man he is. He's not really threatened whatsoever by the lineup of BelleStack. And it looks like with the people respawning soon, they will see that as their cue to leave. But now, 4k gold in the hole. First net worth advantage for BelleStack since like 3 minutes into this game. And this is real do or die time for Cringe. Like, they are one game down. If they lose this one, they're out of the league, out of the clarity. So they've got to really start pulling out all the stops. Another roll away there from Croyson. It's so difficult to get on top of that, man. Unless you want to like drop the stack storm for it. It's just too difficult. Okay, but that is the third KNS finished. Long range hook shot. Mikhail gets the connection onto Sucking, pushes it back, but he didn't quite realise that there was quite a few members of Cringe all in the area. They will take out the Observable at least. The vision advantage is here for BelleStack, but even still, it's the Trader supports too. The people dying left, right, and centre. Sergeant Average is going to be on top of Ash TZ. The Nightmare will actually hold him back. Probably going to save the Bane's life. They're also setting up close and just rolls onto Sergeant Average. Does a bit of a hit. But even still, there was actually also a buyback from Mikhail. Not quite sure if we want to take this fight. The buyback from Dusk coming back into game. Oh, Price actually rolls it aggressively. The double stun comes in there from Pompo, focusing on, but the BKB gets shot from Lickbank as well as Ultimate. Price is still just rolling aggressively. Wants to stay alive. He's getting away with just a sliver of HP. And they get the pick off onto Reese once again in the backlines. Cat's the freeze grip. Does not get interrupted. Once more, Lickbank can't survive it. The death on Cats as well. Ash Teasy might even be able to survive. He needs to kill that bug, but he gets the final tick. And look at that. Despite the fact that they knew that the Bristleback was completely alone, they all just say, ah, fuck him. Run down mid. Gonna try and finish off this first set of barracks. Maybe in this amount of time, they could possibly take the second set. But it's just another fight where all Cringe is able to find are the supports. And they just take heavy losses every time. It's just this Fiend's grip. This goddamn Bane has just been such a problem every single time. Lickbank can't get anything done. He's just stuck in place the entire time.
Invisibility.
I mean, what real big save mechanic do they have? Like, I think it's just like the glimpse in the static field that's the save. Well, they do glimpse actually back onto Dust, pull him back into the base. He does have his ultimate though, so even if he dies, he's going to be able to survive this. But Pompo just pops into the backbone, just deletes the Disruptor. And maybe now BelleStack might be happy taking this fight. Mikhail jumping forwards there with the hook shot yet again. Pushes the Underlord off to the side there with the Cog, trying to drain as much mana as they can. And can they get disengaged? Pompo actually gets hit by the Pit of Malice, going for the TP away. Is there any cancel? Another Pit of Malice gets dropped. Pompo, he might actually end up dying here. Got another Dissimulate up. Another Astral Step in a second. Actually decides to go in the other direction there, but the bug was just stuck on top of him. He couldn't go anywhere at all. That's actually probably the best trade that Cringe has had in a long time. Getting the kill onto the Void Spirit, only losing their Disruptor. Not too bad. But I mean, even still, they did lose their entire set of barracks. And their top tier 3 down to half HP. Can they make anything happen in this short amount of time? 40 seconds without the Void. Roshan could maybe be up in 15 seconds. If they scout out and they're lucky enough to get an instant respawn, they might be able to actually get it. But is Gaben going to be that kind? I don't think so. And oh, it is! It's a very fast respawn. Only 7 seconds away. Is anyone actually going to scout this out? Snufkin might do. Is he actually going to walk in? I don't think he realizes the timer.
Who dares face
No one scouts it out. They were all even in the vicinity as well to maybe try and go for it. Not going to be the case this time, though.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
What have we here?
And Hank's nearly going to be up online for Croissant. That's what we turn people into stone, right? Yeah, okay. Which is going to be pretty interesting. You see some real shenanigan plays be done with that. You can save so many teammates with it. Oh, Croissant actually does get a spot out here from Reese. Got a lot of other people on top of him. It's going to obviously be turn around with the Magnetize. Gets a connection onto 3 heroes. Does a lot of damage onto Reese as well with the silence. The roll forward, oh, barely gets the time lapse off in time. Will survive with a sliver of HP. Meanwhile, on the back line, though, Pompo does get the finish to Stuffkin. Can't survive the static storm with the bristle back on top of him. And another Fiend's Grip! It's the end of Ligbank! It's the 3rd or 4th time this game that the Bane has just been the bane of Ligbank's life. Ash TZ might die with this Sergeant Average on top of him. At least going to be able to get the consolation prize of that kill. Or even Dust getting caught out here. A little bit separated from the rest of his team. Price is going to roll in. They do get the finish onto Reese. That is the first life as well of the Wraith King. But even so, he's going to come pick another hook shot from Mikhail. Traps in the Underlord. It's just Sergeant Average here. He's still like full HP, full mana. But he's just going to carry on being a real tanky, annoying motherfucker he is. Trying to stay on top of Mikhail. This is going to be another stun, another holdback. Give me a return here from Ash TZ, but even still, Sergeant Average not quite as tanky as he thought. He is slowly starting to run out of resources with the Eternal Shroud and all the HP steal. He's getting pretty low. Nearly gets the finish off on Dusk. He's suddenly with a sliver of HP. There is going to be the sleep. Oh, but he hits too soon. It actually takes away the stamina. It doesn't matter. Just barely able to finish the kill, and Stuffkin tries to come and help out. But it's not going to make any difference. He still falls. That was dangerously close to Dust dying there with that hit. Very dangerous. But now, 4 heroes in the hole. There is a buyback available actually for the Bristle though. So maybe if BelleStack overextend, they could try and take a couple of kills. Have to wait and see. But cheers for the follow though, Walu. I appreciate that, man. But now 12,000 gold lead. Just a huge advantage for Dust. Like 7,000 over the top of Ligbank. But it's poor old Ligbank. He's just getting screwed over by this Bane. He is at long last going in for that Lincoln Sphere. But I mean, even when he has that, there's a few skills that can still cancel it out. Actually, there's not that many. There's no Yules. So there's nothing that the Void can do. The Bane can Force Staff, Nightmare, Brain Sap, Enfeeble. Okay, so the Bane himself has a bajillion ways to cancel it out. So I think even still, like, it's going to be rough for Ligbank. But there's hope. There is hope that it could be enough to actually keep him alive in a few of these fights. He just can't get anything done. You really can't. Now Aegis once again is the hands of Pompo. A free Ag Shard as well. Actually, he gives that over to Pompo. The Dusk just not really interested in having his own online. I suppose at no point that there's really any time that he's had all of his mana burnt away. There's no actual mechanic for it on the side of Cringe. I mean, usually you'd see a Slark with a Diffusal Blade or something, which would have forced the Wraith King to get it eventually, but he doesn't need to spend the 1,400 gold. So they're going to go for a smoke play, which doesn't actually end up doing anything. They all just cancel it as BelleStack. They're just up to the tier 3 top lane, beating into it. Knock knock, is anyone home? Defend your buildings. Cats will be able to force away Dust for now. They're not going to be deterred for long.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Dust finishes off the tower, getting pretty low. Has to bomb his BKB defensively and goes through the retreat. Oh, and the glimpse. Tries to pull back, but there is actually going to be Dissimulate, and that's Static Storm used. Stuffkin, he drops the sorry. He realized it was a little bit of a blunder. I mean, even still, BelleStack have actually retreated, but they could possibly turn around. They know there's not going to be any Static Storm. Those Dusk actually just wants to get a bit of HP back. He's very low at the moment. Got a couple of creep hits, more than enough to regen. And they could just go back in now. Still got Aegis in hand for Pompo. Another 50 seconds without Static Dusk fully 6-slowed now. I mean, he could upgrade this Blink Dagger into the Swift Blink. That's really the only thing you can go for next, right? Ooh, that roll from Kryson.
I'm sensing
Just barely
a
got
pattern
past Reese.
here.
Yeah, I assume that is going to be his next item of choice. After that, it's really only like the phase boots being turned into the upgraded bots. But yeah, that's a real rich man status symbol item. It's not necessary. It's just when you've literally got no other money to spend. I suppose actually before you go for that, he'd get the main shard, right?
Rise and shine.
Blaze here.
Well, it looks like the bot is going to be the next objective here for BelleStack. All of them heading into this direction. The Bristle should have got the Ags. Probably should have. But he actually does have it. Probably could have got it sooner, though. We'll see if that's going to be enough to make a difference, start turning these fights around. He doesn't actually have buyback, though. I mean, he's a very difficult person to kill, mind you, but even still, he's still a ways off it. 870 gold.
Radiant's top tower is under
Meanwhile,
attack.
BelleStack going to clear up this tier 2.
Tower is under attack.
He was trying to take a tier 2 of his own, at least. Level the playing field a little bit. And still going in for the Silver Edge.
Radiant's bottom tower is no more. Radiant's top tower is under attack.
So, with this Bristleback that's sat on top of this high ground, it's very difficult for BelleStack just to aimlessly push into it. Just look at all this spam from the napalm and everything. This is real goddamn annoying. Kryson does pull him back a little. Yeah. Nightmare just holding Sergeant Average in, but you just don't want an issue on this guy. If you dump all your spells onto the Bristle at the start, it's just going to go so poorly for you. This is probably why all the fights have gone so well for BelleStack. They've just done a real excellent job at ignoring the Bristleback as much as they possibly can. You just know the main focus is the rest of his team. He's there to just be a big distraction. Clear up everyone else. And it should be an easy fight. But I mean, now that he actually has this Ags, it's probably going to be a bit of a different story. Oh, this smoke roll forwards there from Kryson. He actually has to get connection. He does the stone turn. Off Cats push him miles away out of the base. He's completely separated. Dust is on his ass with Pompo. Focus on the underworld. Can actually get this kill. He's super low. He's trying to retreat the rest of his team. He's not going to be able to survive. He will die. Meanwhile, Sergeant Average and Ligbank on Ash teasing. Can they get him a Kryson with the saving kick? But it's not going to be enough. He still ends up dying there. They're on top of him. Ligbank has to try and retreat his BKB. It's running out. The Aegis actually just timed right there for Pompo, but the roll with Kryson once again gets the connection onto Ligbank, finishing off the slot. Sergeant Average is in deep. He's on his own. It's a 4 versus 1 at the moment. The rest of his team having to regen up. Now they're actually fully healed up. They're going to come back and try and help out. He's getting to half HP now. But he's still Kryson in the back. Puts the silence onto Reese. Trying to keep everyone else at base. And the rest of the team will focus onto the Bristleback. Can they believe he's still alive for now? He's just tanked away. There is even pullbacks who turned around. But he's still alive. He can't finish this goddamn Bristle. He's too much of a problem. The Dusk might end up dying here. He does still have his ultimate to use though, so it's not going to be the end of the world whatsoever. Now he's going to be his first death. The Disruptor just respawned themselves, so it's back to a 4 versus 4. And Cringe, they're not going to let BelleStack just retreat for free. Mikhail puts down the cogs, trying to hold back Sergeant Average. The rest of the team can disengage. He's going to go for the TP out. Oh, but there's the glimpse. Denies the retreat. It's going to be the 4 stuff. Can he get the hook shot to the creeps? He actually gets the hook shot over towards the Wraith King. But unfortunately, the Rod of Atos chased him to his grave. End up dying once again. Dusk, they're still on top of him. He's going to turn around, gets the stun immediately onto Reese. Going to have to go for the defensive time lap with the BKB popped of his own.
That's for me.
We'll disengage.
A bubble from the void.
So real chaos doesn't actually register all the deaths.
Courier has been
But I think that was actually not too bad of a fight for Cringe. How many buybacks did they use? Did they use any? It's just a buyback on Cat. I think that's the only one. Not too bad. That's easy. Able to get the 4 stuff back up to the high ground. So he's going to get glimpsed backwards. He Nightmare too soon to try and dodge it. And this man is dead. He even bought back for this. Oh, but Kryson with the save yet again. He's still got the sling on him, but he will survive. Kryson, MVP, just saving people left, right, and center. And that is the power of this Axe. There is no way we would have survived that situation if he did not have this item. Just super damn good. And that would have been really costly, because that would have been a buyback. Oh, no, it wasn't a buyback. But even still, it would have been big. It would have been big. A kill's a kill, right? But it was still 17k in the lead. Well, 50 now. What? Why did it just jump down 2,000 gold? Because he spent on Scardy? What? I don't even know. But now Scardy online. And now he's got Swift Blink queued up.
Dire are scanning for enemies.
Well, Ash Teasy. He sees this arcane room. Wants to try and save it with someone else. But they're just paying out. They're waiting for someone to get closer. Pompo is going to wait a little bit, but he's still able to just walk out of the disruption field. And he's going to be able to survive. Can't say the same for Ash Teasy, though. He's trying to waste as much time as he can. This man is dead for sure. They do pick him off. Roshan up in a minute and 15 seconds as well. The Bane will be back up in time for them to try and take that objective. Ligbank was pinging out like, oh, they've got a ward up here, but little did he know it was actually just the Earth Spirit himself. That's going to end up being a waste of a sentry. He's like, what? There's no ward then. You lied. So now maybe BelleStack going to be rethinking their pushing tactics a little bit more now. They can't just waddle up to high ground and just start those fights off. Now that this Bristle actually has the Axe, he's starting to become a real goddamn problem, especially the fact that I think that's 2 fights in a row where Ligbank's not just been Fiend Script and killed off instantly, which is also a huge part of keeping themselves in this game. They're trying to apply some pressure onto this tier 2, but they've got to be cautious. BelleStack's already up to their tier 3 at the bot lane, which will force a lot of TP rotations back here. Sergeant Average TPing in with the Dark Rift as well from the Underlords. That was just a mass return there. Oh, they've actually abandoned Ligbank though. He's been caught. He's silenced. He's trapped. He does get his BKB off barely. He's going to try and escape with another roll connection. He's then just on his ass real hard. The roll forward just barely slivers with the dust. It gets the connection. Ligbank, he tried jumping up to the high ground as well. But I think this guy is dead. Mikhail does at least die on the other side. Oh, Ligbank, he's still alive. The roll misses. Ah, but the big crit from Dust takes him out. So no Slark. They also scout the fact that Roche is alive. It's going to be a perfect opportunity for them to take this. There's no buyback for the Clockwork, but even still, this 4v4 situation, Aegis, Cheese, and a free Axe going over towards BelleStack here. Who do they give this Axe to? Do they give it to Ash Teasy or Dusk? I feel Ash Teasy could be pretty good because that's where you make like the... Yeah, like it would make it so much more difficult for there to be any sort of save for the Slug if he gets hit by that Fiend Script. Because like I said before, the only saves they've got are Glimpse, Static Storm, and an Abyss, I suppose, if the Bristle gets close enough, and a Rod of Atos. That's literally it. They don't have much. So the fact that they would have to try and cancel it on 3 different targets is going to be a hard one for sure. The Swift Blink now just finished up for Dusk. So those quick initiations are just going to be pumping out even more damage. And you're going for the Void Stone next. Or the, not the Void Stone, the Moon Shard. So his buybacks are so expensive though. Has to just have a huge bank in his back pocket to actually keep him safe. Even still though, once again, BelleStack with the Aegis advantage. Still just a little bit too wary about pushing relentlessly with no pick off first. I'm sure that's probably what they're going to be looking for. They don't actually have any smoke. Yeah, I've got a couple of smokes onto Ash Teasy if they want to. Actually, Kryson rolling forwards. It's just on Sergeant Average, though. I think you knew that was not the person to initiate onto, for sure. Immediately decides to back on out. Kryson just endlessly rolling around. The stun does get blocked, but Mikkel flies on in there. Stop him. He's gone. That's a huge part of the team fight there. Going to get completely negated, and now Sergeant Average completely separating the Fiend's grip. It's there from Ash Teasy. They got the lockdown. He is in the grave. Gone for 100 seconds. He does have a buyback at least, and he's probably going to be forced to use it here.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Another roll forwards there from Kryson. Is he going to stone? Yeah, he stones up. The Underlord, is he going to kick it back? No, he actually just waits for it to run out as Dusk was there ready waiting to beat it on in. And as soon as he pops on out, he just gets absolutely obliterated. The buyback did come out there from Sergeant Average, but he's just in a world of hurt. He's trapped between everyone. He gets broken. His back spines aren't doing anything. He's still going to die from this. There's going to be the stun from the Dissimulate. He will fall. Or is he? He's still alive. The shard from the Slug actually saves his life just barely. Now Linkbank in the midst of everyone wants to try and do some work of his own. Pompo jumping in. Nice stun there with the Dissimulate onto 2. The roll forward from Kryson does a lot of damage onto Race. Is he going to die? No, he doesn't. The time lapse once again keeps him alive. Pompo just barely alive yet again. Sergeant Average still alive. The jump forwards there from Dust tried to get on top of the Bristle, but he died just before he could actually finish him off. Now the stun gets reflected back. Dust got to be careful. He's trying to retreat back to the safety of the rest of his team. Is he going to be able to? Yes, he will. The glimpse backwards yet again. With the BKB under the stone. Actually, perfect counter. Keeps the Wraith King at bay. And it looks like Cringe, they're still charging out. Want to get some sort of counterplay here. Double damage to the bot lane in the hands of Dusk. And then right at the fight on the doorstep. Linkbang, he's overextended and he's dead. Has a buyback. Once again, he's probably going to be forced to use it. And now just immediate cheat here from Cringe. As soon as you lose that Slark, you've got to get out. Kryson charging forwards yet again. Stonegaze onto the Underlord, pushing him always back into the rest of his team. Completely separated. The double damage as well on the Wraith. He's going to make quick work with this Underlord. He's already brought back, but he's going to be gone with a nice stag storm. In the invis, there's no detection. Cat, he's going to be able to walk himself out on this one. Ash Teasy was stuck in the mid. Dust does get a finish off the lead. Going to blow up Slufkin at the same time. Ash Teasy, though, will fall in return. Linkbank going to focus on the Dust. Beam into him. He's still got his double damage. Can he turn around? He's not going to be able to. His first life will just go. The Linked Sphere, it gets popped. He's still going to stand his ground though. Mikkel going to have to sacrifice his life to allow his carry to retreat. But no, it's not. Slufkin denies it there with the glimpse. Dragging Dusk all the way back into the waiting arms of Cringe. He's still going to end up falling for this one. No, there's going to be a Stonegaze. Kryson again with the stone. It kicks him away. It saves Dusk's life. Is he about to get out of this? He's actually underneath the walls to know exactly where he's gone. The TP. Is there any cancel? No, there's not. He survives. The big play yet again from Kryson. It costs him his life this time round. But even still, he saves his carry. Keeps that buyback intact. 100% worth it. And these fights are just so chaotic. These two teams on each other relentlessly. Just so much back and forth. But despite that, just slowly, the resources on the side of Cringe are getting whittled away. Buyback after buyback has been expended. As there's none available. The only one that isn't on cooldown is Race. Anybody else they kill is permanently gone after this next fight, which I assume will be coming up pretty damn soon. Is this desperate push here from Cringe? Try and take as much as they possibly can. There is a buyback on everyone. The Bane's just naturally respawn though. The Glyph's just going to delay this out for now. It looks like Dusk wants to try and get some split push going on. Maybe take down the second set of barracks, but I think at this stage of the game, a standard set of barracks means absolutely nothing. Linkbank doing work of his own. Takes that down. The mid set being removed from Sergeant Average as well. Dusk going to even it up 2 for 2 apiece. So Sergeant Average, they're just going to go and try and go for Megas right now. Kryson respawning in 4 seconds. Oh, Mikkel, he jumps forward, does actually get the connection onto Mikkel with the help of Pompo, but the defensive time lapse back, maybe that's going to be enough to keep him alive. No, it's not. He's still dead in the ground. Dusk now coming back to help out the rest of his team. Started onto Race, but he's going to be able to survive just barely, and now Dusk getting ran out from the Bristleback. Does actually get forced off the way defensive from his team, but Linkbank pops his ultimate, pops everything else with the BKB. Does a lot of damage, but still going up. Does round to retreat, but actually they get the catch on Giles Average. He's gone. He's down for 2 minutes. That just could be it. A buyback for the Weaver, but it doesn't matter. It's 5 versus 3. I don't think they could defend this. This is just too much of a tall order. They're going to need some absolutely incredible plays to come out here from Cringe to try and defend this. And I don't think this is even going to be Bobber going for Megas. This is just going to be straight up end the game. There's no way they can keep this going, surely. Or can they? I don't know, man. This game has just been keeping me on my toes. It's so back and forth. It's just absolutely insanity. On the jump forward, race. He's just giving his life away. Or has he still alive? The silence is stopping this on, but it doesn't matter. He's still able to walk it off, actually. With a hook shot there from Mikkel, he wants to finish off this Weaver as he can. Spring this pop this time lapse, he will. Defensively, but pump out there as well. He finishes off the Weaver. No buyback here either. Lick Bank trying to push everybody his way as best he can. Cats is getting focused up from everyone else. The Underlord not tanky enough to Glimmer. There's actually no detection. He's still alive for now, but he will fall eventually. It's just the slug against the world. Can he do it? He takes the first life away from Dust, but it doesn't matter. Objectives over. No, they're not. They're actually going to focus on towards the slug. They want to get the bonus kill. There's even going to be script to finish it off. And GG is called. They tap out. The throne explodes. And that is BelleStack taking this game 2-0. My word, absolute insane game coming up for these two teams. Like, I mean, hats off to Cringe as well. They really tried their best. They were actually making those fights so close. They almost made a comeback, but unfortunately for them, it just wasn't enough. And that's all she wrote. That's the end of the game. Jesus, ends it on a 32k advantage from BelleStack as well. Monstrous showing from them. Whew, man, my throat. Those fights were just lasting forever. Jeez. Well. Well, thanks for watching, guys. That is it. So that is BelleStack going forwards now. We'll be playing up against Madson's team for the grand finals of the Clarity League Division 1. That obviously will be happening next Tuesday. But yeah, if you guys have enjoyed this series of my cast, please follow me on Twitch and my YouTube. And my God, I thoroughly appreciate. And yeah, that's it.